All right. Let's see what's going on here. All right, guys, we're live. Welcome back to the show, Bodybuilding and BS. I'm your host, Nick Trigilli. We're going to talk about last night's huge guest posing, which I'm sure a lot of you guys saw and watched. And we're going to talk about each individual bodybuilder, how they looked, who I think looked the best, who I think looked the worst, who I think did the best job, and who I'm going to crown as Mr. Olympia after watching that guest posing. That's what we're going to do today. And I want to know what you guys think below in the comments. Who did the best last night? Who would you crown as Mr. Olympia if we're going by last night's guest posing? It's just for fun, guys. Don't take it too serious, okay? Don't get so stressed out over it. We're just going to have some fun today and talk about all this stuff that happened last night. So I didn't hear any drama out of last night other than obviously Rafael Brandeo could not come. But we knew that ahead of time. I didn't really get any crazy storylines. Nothing really crazy happened. You know, I hate to say that I wish something happened because I would have something more to talk about, but it seems like a good night. Everything flowed pretty easily. There was no hiccups. And I heard it was a really good turnout. The place was really packed. It was busy. So this is good for bodybuilding. I want to hear that about bodybuilding. I don't want to hear the opposite. But before we get into it, don't forget, Old School Labs, as always, is number one here at Bodybuilding and BS and Alpha Elite Athletics. We have a big drop May 20th coming out. Guys, check out my Instagram for all the drop information. There's actually a highlight reel on my Instagram. You guys can check it out with all the new drops, all the new apparel in there for the new drop. I show them every day what the drop is. So make sure you guys tune to my Instagram. And if you guys want to pick up anything and support Old School Labs or Alpha Elite, don't forget to use my code NICKBS to save on your order. The support goes a long way, guys. So it's very much appreciated if you guys do buy anything. Don't forget to use the code because then you're going to save money as well. So let's get into yesterday's conversation. All right. So I think let's start this show off talking about overall what I thought of all the guys guest posing. So overall consensus was I was very impressed by everybody. I don't think one of these guys looked bad. I don't think any of them came here not prepared to put on a show. I think all these guys were probably, I don't want to say stressed out, but probably definitely worrying about how they're going to look because there's going to be a microscope put up against them and people are going to be watching them and people are going to be nitpicking them afterwards. But I think all of them showed up. I think all of them did a really good job. And I think all of them should be very happy with themselves. Now, the biggest takeaway, who was the most impressive out of anyone? I would have to say Derek, definitely. Not even just from a muscular standpoint, not even just from the biggest, freakiest guy. I'm talking just sheer genetics. If you look at Derek's fucking dimensions here, they don't even make sense. Like, they really don't. I mean, look at this guy. Look at this guy hit his first shot, his front double. I mean, that's a cool pose, but look at that front double. Now, I did notice Derek's arm, his left arm, which is our right, looked a little weird on the inside. I don't know if there was something going on or it's just, I hate to say this word, just fat, but it looked swollen to me. I don't know, maybe he trained arms or something, but he didn't look to be in pain or anything like that. But just on the inner part of the arm, it just looked a little funky to me. It looked like a little more softer than usual, but I don't know. I'm not going to sit there and say there's anything wrong with it because I don't have any proof of it, and I didn't think there was anything wrong with it, but just looking at it just looked a little weird to me. But maybe it's just because his way his body fat is. I have no idea. But it didn't look like he was in any pain at all, flexing or anything like that. So I would highly doubt he injured it and it didn't say anything or is walking around like that at the show with a torn bicep or something. I just don't think that happened. But back to what I was saying. Yeah, I mean, he just looks like just so cartoonish. Like if you were to draw a bodybuilder that wasn't tall, right? You drew a short bodybuilder. This is what you would do. You give him wide shoulders. You give him good arms. You give him the thing is the chest. The only thing is the chest where I can't sit there and say, I'm 100% in love with everything. The chest is the only takeaway where I'm like, he needs more meat there. But in due time, he would build that chest. But freaky legs, freaky back, great lats, great width, great taper, tie-ins, conditioning, roundness, fullness. The guy checks the box for everything. It's impossible to even nitpick about his chest because everything else is so fucking good. It's hard to even criticize him that hard because everything else is so fucking amazing on him. I mean, and like, he wasn't even fat. Like, yeah, he's soft, but he's not really that fat. There's barely any fat on this guy. Like, there really is not that much fat. Now, I'm wondering what his weight was, because if we look at this photo, which I thought was very interesting, this tells a lot right here. Like a lot. Because, number one, last year, him and Hani claimed they were not pushing to be in the open, right? They were just barely giving him any carbs. They were barely pushing the food high. And obviously, we don't really know exactly how big Derek was versus last year because it's impossible to do. But looking at the photos side by side, I would have to say and to make a strong assumption that Derek might have even looked a little bit better last year, a little more crispier, a little bit leaner. But that might because he was doing more cardio. He might have been keeping the carbs lower, where now, yeah, he has a lot more carbs in his diet. Obviously, he's pushing to be in the open now, so it's very like aggressive compared to last year. But for the most part, he looked just as big, just as heavy, just as swollen as he did last year. And last year, he was supposedly just going to stay in the 212. But then obviously this guest posing changed everything. Now, I do think he's a little bit bigger in certain areas. I think he's a little wider, a little more broader. He's a little thicker in certain areas. But for the most part, he looks just as good, just as big as he did last year. I mean, it's just nutty that Derek is able to look like this. Like, no one saw this coming on Derek a couple of years ago. Nobody saw it. We all knew he had potential, but we didn't know he had that much potential. So let's talk about Nick Walker next, because Nick really impressed me. Like, I know Nick shows his updates all the time online, but I got to say, I think he looks better here on the stage than he does in his updates, because we get to see him compared against people and see how he really looks. And Nick's front double looks really good. Like, his legs are getting bigger, so therefore his waist now is really getting offset by the leg density and the thickness of the legs and the adductors. And his waist doesn't look nearly as bad as it used to. Like, nowhere near as bad. Now, this is the part on Nick where I need to see a little more meat. His erectors. I don't know what he's doing for his back, but he's got to start hitting his erectors a little bit more, if you ask me, in order to fill up that middle part of the back. I'm not saying he needs it to desperately to win, but I would like to see a little more thickness in the middle of the back. You know, the meat around the spine, a little more density there, a little more pop there, a little more 3D-ness there. Because honestly, everywhere else has just so much muscle. I mean, he is so muscular. It's just fucking nutty how muscular he is. Like, by far the most muscular guy on stage, if you ask me. Like, by a landslide, the most muscular. He just is so thick everywhere. He's so big everywhere. And Nick, remember, Nick brought the conditioning that he needed to. They said he was too conditioned because he got too flat at the Arnold. So I think Nick could easily be bigger than he was at the Arnold this Olympia and look a lot better if he dials things in properly and he comes down slow and doesn't rush it. I'm going to leave Ramy for last. So let's talk about Sean Clarida, and then we'll talk about Samson and Hunter. So Sean, I'm going to be really honest. I didn't have any crazy expectations for him because I just know he's going back to 212. I mean, that's what we think he's doing, at least what he told us. You know, I didn't expect Sean not to look like this. I knew he was going to look like crazy. I knew Sean is big in the offseason because I've seen him in person. But here, you know, this is where the size really showed on Sean, where I would say it's not smart to go to open because this was a clear sign that he is smaller compared to these other guys, statue-wise, height-wise, and it showed. And This is why I think Sean should stay in the 212 for the long game and shouldn't worry about going to open at the Olympia. Now, he can go to open in the regular shows, throughout the season if he wants, but I think if Sean wants to cement himself in bodybuilding history and be remembered, not get lost in the shuffle because he was a smaller guy, quote unquote, I think he should stay in the 212 and just win and win and win as much as he can to make sure people do not forget who Sean Clarida was, just like we don't forget who Flex Lewis was. I think that's his best route for success, for long-term success in bodybuilding, for people to remember him, and just to really make a serious stamp and mark and like on his legacy. I think going to open will only have so many benefits for him as far as like after he gets done competing. I think he needs to stay in the 212 and worry about winning that as much as he can. And like sheer dominance win. Don't just like win, dominate it, That's the best thing I could think of for Sean. But overall, I think Sean still looked crazy. He might have been holding a little more body fat than I would probably like in my midsection, but I'm not his coach. You still have abs visible, but, that's just me. I don't think Sean needs to get bigger. Like why even have Sean on anything right now? Why push Sean to do anything other than like recover as much as possible in the offseason so you're ready to go for your prep? Sean does not need another ounce, like not one more ounce of muscle to be able to do more damage. No one's beating him, the 212. Unless he comes off, no one's going to beat him. That's the God's honest truth, guys. No one's beating Sean Clarida. It's impossible, the 212. Unless some guy that shows up like Derek again. It's the only way. And I just don't foresee that happening anytime soon. Let's talk about Hunter Labrada. So, when I first saw him walk out, I'm not going to lie, I was like, okay, midsection's tight, not super sweating, not super bloated, no really distension. Yeah, he's still 13 weeks out from a show. I did not expect his condition to be anything worth talking about. And I was exactly right. He's exactly where he should be at 13 weeks out. You don't want to be ready at 13 weeks out, guys. With people that are like saying like, oh, isn't he doing a show? 13 weeks. It's 3 fucking months. You know how shredded you can get in 3 months? Yeah, it's plenty of time. There's no rush to get in shape at 13 weeks out. Now, I think you could have done the guest posing without the hat, if you ask me, but that's another thing. But, yeah, I don't know. I just get... I'm very convinced as long as Hunter sticks to this diet, he's going to look a lot better on stage. I'm not saying he's going to win more or he's going to place higher. I'm not going to say that. But I will say he will look better for Hunter if he sticks to this diet. Now, the only thing I'm still wondering about is Hunter's back. Because the middle of the back and the lower back just still are not adding up, if you ask me. Like, he does all these proper rowing movements and meticulous with his form. Why is the back not getting better? If I was Hunter and I was on his team, I would be asking these questions seriously. Like, why is my back not making any progress? Why is my back the same as it was 2 years ago? Now, it's a little different, but it's not different enough for the amount of work he's putting in and effort. And for all the coaches that are helping him, I'm not seeing a big difference in Hunter Labrada's posterior chain. Is it improved? Yeah, he's improving. But is it enough improvement? Because remember, you don't have forever to do bodybuilding. You got to strike when the iron's hot. And if you don't bring those body parts up in time, and let's say the other stuff starts to fade, or you get another injury, or whatever happens in life where you can't compete again, it's do or die, man. You got to just get that muscle on as fast as possible the right way. And I mean that obviously not in a hypocritical way, because I always tell you guys go slow, but how many more years is Hunter going to train and his back not look much different? That's what I'm saying. So if I was Hunter, I'd be very eager and antsy to change whatever I'm doing for my back training like now and try something new. Because whatever he's doing, to me, with my own 2 eyes, I don't think it's really helping much. I don't notice anything crazy different. Yeah, he's fuller in his back because of the food. Yeah, his back looks a little more, 3D. It's popping a little bit more because of the food. But I don't notice new muscle. I don't notice anything new detail back there. It's very, very one dimensional. Like, there's not much going on back there when he hits shots. Even when he's shredded, there's not much going on. So this is back to the drawing board again. Is there something not aligned? Is there something impinged? Is there some type of connection issue? Is a muscle not firing? Does he have disc issues? Like, what is it? What's going on that his back doesn't have the same amount of muscularity as the rest of his body? Because Hunter's entire body is extremely muscular and dense. Everything. Even the torn pec looks fine here. So my question is, what is up with the back that he can't get the development that he has everywhere else? This is a very common problem with bodybuilders where they have very dominant arms or limbs or whatever, legs or whatever body part we're talking about, and they can't feel something because something's overtaking, there's a muscular imbalance somewhere, maybe his grip strength, his forearms, his biceps, or maybe his triceps are taking over so his chest can't grow. There's always something like holding them back. And with back, you can't see it in the mirror, so it's very hard to train it. You have to use your arms to obviously train your back. You can't train your back without your arms. So if your arms are very dominant and they overtake some movements where you're pulling with the arm instead of just using it as like a hook, the best way of explaining it, you're going to get a lot of bicep activation instead of your lat or teres or mid back or rhomboids, erectors, lower back, whatever we're talking about. And I just feel like that's the only thing I could blame it on because, yeah, the teres are popping, the lats look decent, but there's a lot of tissue back there that's not there yet, which should be there at this point in his career. Hunter's been training long enough to have more muscularity back there. He has all the muscularity you could ever want everywhere else. What's wrong with the back? I think his arms are good. I don't think they're dominant. I don't think his arms are overtaking his physique where I'm like, oh, maybe it's because his arms. Maybe because his arms are so overpowering, like Nick or like Michael Crizzo or fucking Phil Heath back in the day. I think maybe that was Phil Heath's issue probably in the beginning. His arms were probably just too powerful. Maybe he didn't know how to train back. That's actually something I want to ask Phil, what he did to train his back once he started to make that switch. I don't know if you guys remember this. I don't know how long you guys have been bodybuilding fans, but when Phil came on, he had a good back. Not going to say amazing, but compared to everything else on Phil, it was definitely his weakest body part, if you ask anybody. And then they told him to come back with a bigger back, and lights out, look what happened. He came back with one of the best backs we've ever seen in bodybuilding and just fucking dominated from behind. Like hams, glutes, everything. The entire posterior chain was just off the chart. So was that just Phil not giving his back enough attention, or was that Phil changing exercises, grips, using straps, not using straps? What did he do to get that back activation? Because something went off in Phil's mind that switched that was like, oh, I have to do it this way instead of that way, and it worked. Like, it worked instantly. Like, if you go look at Phil Heath's progress with his back over a couple of years, you guys will know what I'm talking about. It's mind-boggling what his back used to look like and what it finished off looking like when he won all these Olympias. So that's what I'm saying. Like, Hunter's been doing whatever he's been doing now for several years, and it's not changing anything. So when do you throw it out and try something new? And I'm not saying it's not working. I'm not saying he's not making any progress, but if you do a side-by-side over a year's time, this back should be better. I'm just not overly impressed. I think, you guys want my real honest opinion. Let me really tell you what I'm thinking is wrong. You guys are probably going to jump down my throat for this, but it's the only thing I can think of as a reason why this is happening. There's got to be an impingement somewhere. I'm not going to say a pinched nerve because I know you guys don't like me saying that, but we're going to talk about Ian tomorrow because he guest posed too, and I'm going to express my opinion on that again once again. There's got to be some type of impingement going on because the lower back is soft. Like, the lower and mid back on Hunter is soft. Like, this entire area doesn't look like it's ever been targeted before with a weight. That's weird to me. The only time this happens, if there's an injury. That's the only time this happens, if there's an injury. And I can't think of another damn thing that would cause this because I know Hunter is training this part of his body. I know he is. I've watched videos. I heard him talk about it. I know who he works with. So why is this area of the body, the only part of the body, look like it's never been touched before? It's like looking at a painting, like a blank canvas, right? You know what the best analogy is? You know when you're a kid, you just get the coloring book, you have to color in the lines, and it'd be like number 5 is red, 4 is blue, and have the numbers inside the little spaces you have to color it in. It looks like they didn't color in that part of his body. It looks like it's still blank white. That's the best way of explaining it. That's what it looks like to me with my eye. Not saying that's what's going on. I'm not saying he's not training. I'm not saying he doesn't know how to train it. I'm saying no matter what he's doing, it's not changing there. It bothers me and I don't know what it is. That's how I am. Ramy, we figured out that he has some type of systemic fucking issue going on. I do think there's disc issues. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. I know they're covering that up, but I'm not going to blow up Ramy's spot. But Ramy's got serious injuries. I mean, that's just what it is. It's a lot more than just inflammation in the body. And yeah, it's a lot deeper than that. But let's talk about Samson now. Let's bring the mood back. Let's talk about Samson. So, Samson's coming off the Arnold Classic win. One word, huge. It's just massive, aesthetic, pretty, flows. Conditioning, it's fine. It's his off season. He's enjoying himself. The guy's been traveling all over the world. Building new relationships with people, getting more fans. Look at that fucking leg. Jesus Christ, dude. Good lat spread. I mean, Samson's just looks monstrous. I mean, if you saw him on stage next to the other guys, which I'll show you guys some photos I have, just unbelievable size when you see him next to like Ramy and the rest of them. He's by far the biggest guy up there, right? I mean, 6 foot, 330 pounds, or whatever the hell he said he weighed on that scale. It just doesn't make any sense how big he is. He's making Ramy not look that big anymore. And you know what's even crazier is that, like, Hunter, Nick, Derek, they're not getting so outsized by Ramy anymore. Like, Ramy used to stand there and just be like belittling people. Like, it used to be like embarrassing for other bodybuilders to be on stage with him. But that just shows you, A, how much better everyone's getting and how much bigger these fucking guys are getting. It just doesn't make sense anymore. And B, big Ramy's regression. He's definitely going backwards. He's definitely not getting better. And I think last night was the first sign of like, okay, yeah, this might be over. But back to Samson. Yeah, I was very impressed by Samson size. That was really the only thing I was impressed by. There was really nothing else to say like conditioning or he looks bigger in certain areas. He just looked huge like he did last year. He works with Milo Sarcev. They obviously know what the hell they're doing. He's probably off. He's probably not pushing anything crazy. I mean, this picture really gave you an idea how big he is. I know he's closer to the camera, but my God. It's fucking crazy. It's wild how big he is. But Samson, yeah, he just takes up a lot of space. And that crazy, crazy shape, the X-frame, the big arms, great midsection, great legs, calves. I mean, Samson, he's another guy. even here, I'll show you guys this video and we'll move on to Ramy. Even here, the back's still not where it needs to be. It just, I don't know if it's time or, again, we're going to go back to the Hunter conversation. Maybe he's not training right. Maybe he's not activating that back properly. Maybe he needs to change something up compared to what he used to be doing. Maybe he's going to throw out whatever he thought was going to work for his back and try something completely new. I think too many of these guys get caught in a rut doing the same thing. They don't want to think outside the box. They don't want to try something new. They think they're great. They don't think anything's wrong. Oh, it needs more time. Like, lat spread's okay, but he's a sick. Oh, he even hit the rear double. That just shows you right there how confident he is in it. He doesn't even want to show the rear double. See, you shouldn't have to feel like that as a bodybuilder where I can't hit a shot because whatever. But as a 6 foot, 330 pound bodybuilder, I'm not that impressed with Samson's back. I don't like his back. And I feel like a 6 foot, 330 pound bodybuilder should have barn fucking doors for a back. I mean, like jumbo jet width, like just like where you're like, whoa, the lights are dark now because he fucking blocked all the light coming in. I don't get that feeling with Samson's back. Like even when he's rowing back and spreading the lat, I don't know. I just don't feel it for some reason. Like when Ramy would hit the lat spread when he was in his prime, it was like it just kept going. Like it just was insanity. It was insanity. Marcus Rules, the Ronnie Colemans, the Gunther Schlemps, the Dennis James. Like I can go on and on. All the guys with these massive backs. And they were not 6 foot 330 like Samson. So, but Samson looked amazing. Okay, guys. The guy just won the Arnold Classic. I'm just being super critical of these guys. So, let's talk about this. So, I don't want to be super harsh on the guy because everyone knows what's going on. It's his time. You know, it's not his time to win. It's his time that it's probably going to have to throw the towel in time. Even though he looks like a freak still, he's got some really crazy body parts still. It's just not holding together anymore. And after seeing this, I am 100% convinced that this is not fixable. And what we see on Ramy is what I believe we're seeing on Hunter and Ian. The same type of issue, whatever it is. Is it systemic inflammation? Is it an impingement? Is it a disc issue? Is it a nerve issue? Something's going on with their body parts. Ramy's got it obviously a lot more serious. It's progressed a lot further. He has it in multiple areas, like his arms, like his back. I don't know. It just sucks to see such a fucking freaky ass, genetically gifted bodybuilder come crumbling down like that after winning 2 Olympias. It just sucks to see. I mean, the lat spread's not even the same anymore. You can't even open it up properly anymore. You can see right here. You don't have to be a fucking genius or a doctor to see how uneven his back is. And there's obviously something impinged. Things are tight in here. Shoulder blades probably jammed up. I can't imagine how tight he is through here. He just can't even open the lats up anymore. And that's probably a lot of the reason why that lower back is disappearing. I guarantee if I had one of my specialists get in there on Hunter or Ramy or Ian's back, he would be able to determine exactly what's wrong right away. I'm telling you they have disc issues because I can look at their body and tell you right now something is off with their backside. Things are not even. Things are not level. Things don't look symmetrical. Things are off. And that tells me right away there's something going on internally. And it's a lot deeper than what they're telling you. Trust me. And I know this is going on because I know it is for a fact. Look, this is not even doing anything. It's like it doesn't even exist, this part of his back. It's almost like they deleted the muscle. It's going up higher, guys. Like, this is not going to get any better with stem cells. I'm telling you right now, it's not getting any better. I was optimistic in the beginning because it was hopefully going to help fix it, maybe make it better. But no, this shit ain't coming back. I'm telling you right now, it's not coming back. Stem cells are amazing, but it's not going to fix this. This is way past fixable. It sucks. It sucks, but I mean, guys, if I showed you this, you would never guess this was Mr. Olympia's back. You would never say that's Mr. Olympia's back, right? Right or wrong? And now that he lost his arms too, the atrophy is so bad now. Like, it doesn't even look right. Comments are ruthless. Absolutely disgusting how people are so dramatic. I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, you can't. Look how much bigger this delt is than this one. There's so much scar tissue in these shoulders. It's like absolutely mind-boggling to me, actually. I mean, look at these things. You guys see this? Like, it doesn't take an expert to see these things. Just stop a video and look at it. Look at the triceps. They're literally gone. This is why you got to take care of yourself, guys. Like, when something happens, a little injury, fix it. Calves atrophied. He's all quad. That's literally what he is. He's all quad right now. Look, there's just no back here. There's no see how the muscle, the erectors, just stop? Like, they're not 3D anymore? That's not supposed to happen. He has the upper part, but not the lower part. See? They just stop right here. So something's going on all through here. And Ian has the same problem. Hunter has something very similar. And when they turn to the side, like when they're turning around, just when they get like to this position, on your own time, look how flat they are now. If you look at Ramy when he used to turn to the side, there was muscle just stacked off of his body. And now look from the front, the dents. Whatever they used to fix those was a temporary filler or something. But it's over. I mean, look how much his forearms have atrophied even. Look at his forearms here. It's sad. Like, I genuinely feel bad saying all these things. It's not conditioning, guys. It's just that there's no muscle there. When I tell you, without the nerves connected to your muscle, the nerves not firing to the muscle, there's no activation. You can't contract it. You can't flex it. You can't feel it. So it's impossible for blood and nutrients to get transported to that muscle if there's no connection. Not through the nerve, but for that muscle to be firing and to be able to get whatever it needs to recover and obviously repair and water and hydration. It just doesn't do anything. It's dead. It's atrophied. Look up the word atrophy. It's atrophying because it's not getting what it needs to live. The muscles are a living organism. Like, you have to feed them. You have to stay hydrated. Like, if it can't get these nutrients because it's whatever's going on internally, it's not going to grow. It's going to eventually shrivel up. It sucks. It does. It sucks really bad to see that. But all these amazing bodybuilders at one point have to come down. Like, bodybuilding's like this. You gradually, you get to the top, and it's like such a short time at the top, and you just eventually go like this, and you come crashing down. That's the fucked up part about bodybuilding, and that's why I got out when I did, because I knew if I kept doing this, it's going to get a little steeper, right? And then I'm going to get to the top, I'm going to be up there for like 1 second and come crashing down. No, I was not signing up for that. Nope, not signing up for that. So I'd rather climb, get here, and I'll just ride this. Like, I don't need any more success in bodybuilding to make myself feel good and feed my ego and whatever else I'm feeling. I don't need to do that. It was not necessary. Now I get so much enjoyment out of taking care of myself and being healthy. I'm so glad I walked away when I did, because I don't think I'd be here right now in this good of health or alive or whatever you want to finish that sentence with. I would not be the man I am today if I continued to be bodybuilder, because I would have hurt myself. I would have destroyed myself. I would have torn more body parts. Like, that pec I tore was the last prep I did. I had to prep for my pro debut with a torn pec, and I was miserable. And this is the last thing I want to show you, just the Ramy comparison to legs. Like, they clearly put some type of temporary fill in here. I mean, you could clearly see the left leg still has it. See how it's so swollen up top too? It still has it. Whenever they used in the bottom leg, on the bottom leg, on the right leg, clearly did not work. It dissipated. Or it just looks worse because he's not tan. I don't know, the lighting. I just want to show you guys something. Look at this top photo real quick. You guys see this? You see his sweep? You see how exaggerated that is? Like, that's not human. Show me another bodybuilder on the planet that has that besides Tom Platz. And Tom Platz didn't even look like this, actually. That just is like off the hip like that, guys. Like, look where this is connected. Just look down at your legs. Imagine your leg doing that when you sit on it. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't even add up to make sense from a human anatomy chart perspective. But yeah, it's not good for Ramy. I feel bad. But overall, guest posing was super impressive. It was a great show. I'm very happy with the turnout as far as like the fans coming and the bodybuilders showing up, everyone making it there at least. And yeah, we're going to talk about this more tomorrow, though, on the stream. Got some other good stories to work on for you guys that'll be on Patreon. I'll talk about them on here as well. And don't forget, guys, the clips that you guys saw on YouTube will be on Patreon. Sign up to the Patreon. It's very cheap. It's affordable. I have my educational stuff. We're going to start doing the training content tomorrow, the vlogging and all that type of stuff on Patreon, the meals, the supplements, all that stuff. And yeah, thanks again for the support. Thanks for tuning in. Anyone watching this recorded, thanks for watching if you made this far. And don't forget, oldschoollabs.com. Use my code